Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you. Just a little bit of analysis on week 1 college football. The spreads are out. I'm doing my homework. Real quickly, excuse me for 1 second. I just want to show you the 2 guides that I use. And really the best way to analyze is this one here is Lindy's, and I am no way affiliated with any magazine. I am independent, and I'm not doing this for any reason but to say this is a good magazine to use to analyze. For example, here's the Air Force. What I like is it breaks down returning starters, players to watch, strengths and weaknesses. Over here it gives you the roster, what year they are, what position, returning starters. So you can see the quarterback is new, the running back's coming back, you can see the quarterback's a junior. So it gives a very good in-depth analysis. I do not like Phil Steele. I think his magazine is junk. He doesn't get into the explanation. He's too busy worried about, well, Auburn's going to finish second in the SEC West, because their schedule at home is this and their schedule on the road is this. And he's trying to pick and predict where the team's going to... Instead of telling me how good the team is, instead of telling me who the key players are, he doesn't do that. He just tries to predict the order of finish. And it really pisses me off because I need to know how good the team is. Because when I'm handicapping for you people, I got to know what's with the team. Are they strong? Where's their weak points? How's their secondary? Are they going to get burned by a good quarterback? How good's their quarterback? How good are their running backs? Is their offensive line back? And Phil Steele, he'll tell you Randy Moss played for, Marshall 10 years ago. I don't care. It doesn't help me with what's going on now. So he gets too much into the history. He doesn't hit the nail on the head. And I find his magazine absolutely useless, and I will not buy it again. This Lindy's, however, he gets into strengths and weaknesses, and I find it, I can see, like, oh, this team, has a good quarterback, the guy graduated, the other quarterback's very good, or what their strengths and weaknesses are. They got a weak secondary, and all this I want to know, because if I got Western Kentucky playing Tulane, and I know Western Kentucky's got Brad Doherty, I think Brian Doherty, and he throws for 6,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. If he's playing a rough defense with a great pass rush and a tough secondary, I'm not going to play Western Kentucky. But if he's playing Tulane, who can't get a pass rush, and their secondary is all new, I'm going to bet a fortune on Western Kentucky. I got the matchup I want. I got this guy who throws the ball all over the place against a secondary and a defense that can't stop the win. Not only am I betting Western Kentucky over, but I'm going to pound them if the spread's normal. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to look for the matchup. When you got a good offensive team, if they're playing a really rough defense, I don't want anything to do with it. Because I know that the rough defense shuts down the passing offense all the time. So it doesn't matter. It never works. It never wins. The passing offense never can handle a rough defense. So you either avoid the game or you bet the rough defense. However, if you have a really weak defense against this high-flying offense, that's when you bet the high-flying offense. They're going to pound, and they're going to put up 50 points. So that's what I'm looking for. So looking at week 1, my early analysis, what I'm trying to do now is break the teams down. Okay, what's going on? Who has a lot of guys returning, the returning starters, because you have to get assembled together. So the team that comes back, like Boise comes back with, I think, 17 returning starters. I'm going, wow, they're okay. But I don't know what their quarterback's a new quarterback. I don't know how good he is or how bad he is. They open against Washington lane 11. I'm like, okay, Washington's not that bad a team. And Chris Peterson used to be the Boise coach. He knows how to defend this team. And without a good quarterback, we saw what happened when Kellen Moore was there. This is why I always preach Kellen Moore, because he put up 50 points a game. He won 50 games, the most ever in 4 years. 4-year starter. Threw 127 touchdowns to like 15 interceptions in 4 years. And this guy's not starting in the pros. There's something wrong. But it shows you with a good quarterback what Boise does, and with a bad quarterback they were struggling all over the place. So if they get the good quarterback in, I expect them to put up 50 points a game. And with all their 17 returning starters, I'm expecting them. I mean, the old Boise with Kellen Moore would blow out Washington. I don't trust this new quarterback. I haven't seen him. And that's really the problem with college now, is these guys graduating after 2 years, and then you have, okay, Winston's gone. Johnny Manziel's gone. Who's the replacement? I have no idea. You cannot, this whole 5-star rating's a joke. You can't tell anybody from high school because they could have played a bunch of cupcakes. It's high school. Who the hell knows? You don't know anything about high school players. So the problem is you have to understand you don't know anything about the new quarterback. So Winston's replacement you don't know anything about. Now if it's the Notre Dame guy, you know he's not accurate. You know he can't hit the broadside of a barn. He couldn't at Notre Dame. He got beaten out. So you don't even have Notre Dame's best quarterback. You got the second best quarterback. So how good is he going to do in Florida State's offense? Probably not very good. Now, you look at Florida State, they got a really good running back coming back. Their defense lost a lot of guys. How's the replacements? So there's a lot of question marks there. So you got to watch 3 or 4 games. And that's the problem, where before Winston would have played 4 years. Right? So if he plays 4 years, I'm betting Florida State. I know what they got this year. I'm betting A&M with Manziel. Well, when they bring in the replacement, you're blind for at least 5 games because they'll play cupcakes teams. That doesn't help you. And so you got to watch them against the big team to see how they do. Usually they play one big team in September, so that kind of helps you. Still, it's all matchups. Did they have a good secondary or not? Did they have a good pass rush or not? So I'm looking into that. A quick look at the Michigan-Utah game. The spread's way off. Utah's only a 3-point favorite. Should be at least 7. We don't even know who Michigan's quarterback is. If it's the Iowa guy, I don't even think he's there yet. Could be the freshman from New Mexico. He's not even there yet. It comes in the summer. I feel it's going to work where Michigan's going to play Stanford football. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have the extra tackle in the game. They're going to try not to make mistakes, and they're going to run and punt and play defense. Now, their defense was number 7 in the country last year. So what you have is a strong defense. They're going to run the ball because Harbaugh doesn't want to throw pick sixes, and he doesn't want to throw interceptions. He will not tolerate that. So the plays are going to be conservative, and there's going to be a lot of running and punting. But the game stays close. That's what he wants. Then maybe at the end he can beat them, like he did when he was a 40-point dog at Stanford against USC. I think they won 20-17. I don't know. Don't quote me the score, but I know it was a low, maybe 24-20 score. And what he did, I don't know if Andrew Luck was on the team or not, but what he did was he kept the game close, and with the last 2 minutes of the 4th quarter, they drove down, they hit the corner route, touchdown, and they win the game. And that's what I think he'll do here. Utah, on the other hand, is a very good defensive team. They have a really good running back, and they don't have a really good quarterback and a real good offense. I mean, they can run the ball, but they don't have an intricate. They're not going to be Baylor throwing the ball around. Let's say that. So after looking at the number, first of all, that 3.5, 4 is way. It should be at least, I'd say 7, 8-point favorite. Utah should be a 7-point favorite, I think. And if Brady Hoke was the coach, it'd be a 14-point favorite. Secondly, what you have is over under a 46.5. I really like this game under. I find that what you're going to have is both teams running and playing very good defense. Both teams will not want to throw the turnover because both defenses are capable. And they know the only way they're going to lose is to throw pick 6. Because they know if they just run the ball, their defense will hold the other team. I'm looking at this game under. I'm looking at this game being maybe a 17-13 game with either team can win. Probably Utah winning because they're at home in the mountains. And it's the first game of Harbaugh quarterback. Who knows who it is. So I see Utah winning a closer one, but I see the game going under. I would be surprised if they hit 30. I think 17-13 is probably about it. I can see a lot of field goals in the game. It's not going to be wide open, and the only way is if you got a kickoff return or a pick six. But that's how I look at it here. So that's my first little analysis. I basically go through every team, every conference, because I'm looking for the matchup that I want. Last year I picked a lot of Western Kentucky because of the quarterback. He's the key position. I remember playing, I think Georgia Southern had a really good offense. Baylor, TCU, these teams. Mississippi State should be really good this year. I think Arkansas is a sleeper. That'll be really good. Real quickly, my top five is Ohio State, Michigan State, TCU, and Baylor. And then I like Arkansas, and Auburn's got an excellent quarterback. I look at those two to win the SEC. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback. I'm sorry, you don't win without a quarterback. And I think everybody's kind of seen their game. All you got to do is, if you have a good passing quarterback, you can pass all over on Alabama. All Saban does is run the the 70s Steeler defense, because he learned under the guy on Michigan State. Who was their coach? I wasn't prepared, so I can't tell you the coach. The big guy. I can't think of his name, but I know that's how Saban learned. It's the Steeler defense. You can pass all over on him. He can't stop a good passing team. So basically, like you saw Auburn last year put up 45 on him. So I think everybody's seen this act. He can only beat weak quarterback. When he gets a weak quarterback, he's at. I do love them week one. Alabama laying 10 to Wisconsin. Wisconsin has no quarterback. Melvin Gordon's not there. You just don't plug in those type of runners. Alabama will stop that team because they can't pass. And I love Alabama week one because they will pound Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I just don't see it. They just don't have the offense to keep up with, to hurt Alabama's defense. And I'm not sure Wisconsin's defense is any good. And even Alabama doesn't have a quarterback, should be able to run the ball and will score defensively. If I look at them to win like 24-0 or something like that, it'll be low scoring, but Alabama covers the 10. We'll tease them down to 4. Maybe we'll tease them with Michigan, Utah under 52, and there you go. But definitely the Alabama-Wisconsin matchup favors Alabama heavily. Some weird things that I've seen. Vanderbilt was a 17-point favorite to Western Kentucky, down to 1. I've never seen a 16-point move in my life. I've seen a few 7, 8. Remember, I was in Vegas when Fresno State was playing San Jose State with David Carr. They're going undefeated, and the spread was 7. And when I went to bed Thursday night, when I woke up Friday morning, it was up to 11. So I saw a 4-point move the night before the game, but I've never seen basically a 15, 16-point move. It's unbelievable, and I've seen a few of them. Hawaii was favored over Colorado. Colorado is almost a touchdown favorite now. Eastern Michigan was favored over Old Dominion. Now Old Dominion's favored by 3 or 4. Baylor was a 20-point favorite. It's now 33. I'm seeing some wild moves. I laugh because people will tell me, "Oh, Vegas really knows their line. They made them an 8-point favorite and they won by 8. Oh my God!" Or they made them a 4-point favorite and they won by 4. And I go, "No, Vegas is clueless. You got 17-point line moves here. Vegas doesn't know what they're doing. They're making the betting even. They don't make the game even, and that's where Teaserking comes in, because I make the betting even, and I can tell you which way to go on it. So that's why I'm here, and just to clue you in on the line that's so screwed up. I want to talk quickly on money management, and really, I got friends, and they kind of, I hear them tell me, well, I lost this one game, and therefore I'm not betting now, or I had one bad week, and I'm taking a few weeks off. the key to, to this whole thing is simple. You have what we call a bankroll, which is how much do you have that you can afford to lose. You got to pay your mortgage, you got to pay your bills, you got to have your kids. What is it that you got to invest? Just like you do in the stock market. The difference in the stock market is you don't normally lose 100%. So if you had GM and you see them going from 30 to 20, you can bail out. You've lost 10 points. In football, it's all or nothing. So if you bet 100, you lose 100. You can't go at halftime and say, oh wait, my team's getting killed, I'm going to sell. Well, you can't. So you determine your bankroll. Let's just, for example, we'll say $1,000. I have $1,000 to bet. Well, first of all, I want to bet a small percentage of the 1,000. Secondly, the goal is to make the 1,000 go to 2,000. The other thing is you never let one bet or one weekend hurt you. I've been betting since I was 10 years old. I've had bad weekends, of course. I've never had a bad weekend make me stop betting. I've never lost in a weekend that's absolutely crippled me and says I can't bet anymore, I don't have any more money. I mean, if I start with 1,000, I'm betting 50 here, 100 here. In my mind, it's get it to 2,000. Once we're at 2, we're going to get it to 5. Once we're at 5, we're going to get it to 10. So I'm going to bet little chunks of percentage where one game's not going to hurt me because I spot so many games. I pick so many winners that I don't want to let one game beat me, and I don't want to let 1 week beat me, because I know I'm going to find 10 games every week that I'm going to bet on. And if I get unlucky, the one that I really like loses, but generally I'm going to keep pounding that, and that's going to win for me 7.5 out of 10 times, my 75%. So what I'm looking at is strictly building the bankroll. So if I have 1,000, I'm probably betting $20, $30 a game in the beginning. My lock, I'm going to bet maybe 50 or 60, maybe 70, but I only have 1,000 to play with. So I'm not going to let the lock. I'm not going to bet 700 on the lock and lose it. But I have 1,000. If I have 1,000, it's a $60, $70 lock. Now the lock wins. I go 60, 70% week 1. I made $200. Now my bankroll is $1,200. Fine. But I'm still going to stick to $30, $40 games, $50 games, very light, very little, to try to build that to $1,500, to $1,600. And if I do lose my lock, it's not going to kill me. I lose $50. Okay, I'm up to $1,200. I lost $50. I still got $1,150. That's fine. And that's really what you want. The goal is to get it to 2,000. The goal is to get it from 1,000 to 15 to 2,000, from 2 to 3 to 5. And as you build it, then you make the bigger bets, and you're betting, theoretically, it is your money, but you're betting their money. You're betting the money that you've won so far, but you're betting it on a lock, and the lock goes from $50 in the beginning to $200 as you build the bankroll, to $500 as you build the bankroll. I remember Billy Sims was playing at Oklahoma, and they're playing Florida State, and this is what, in the late 70s, and I had a lock on Florida State. I had Florida State in 7. They're playing in the Orange Bowl. Bobby Bowden was there, I believe, and they were just starting to get good. They were going to Nebraska and winning, and Notre Dame and winning. So I had 13 points in the teaser with Florida State, and I think that bet was for $1,500. And if I lost it, it was not a big deal. And I started the season, let's say, with $2,000 bankroll. This is what, late 70s, early 80s. And the bankroll got up to $5-6 grand, and I pounded it. I think I had $1,700 on that game. And so if it lost, fine. I probably had $5 grand, like I said, so I would have been down. But the only reason I bet that much is because I had my bankroll up to $5 grand, so it allowed me to make a bigger bet. It was a lock game. Oklahoma won the game 17-10 late, or maybe it was 24-17. But Florida State was winning the whole game. They blocked the punt. They ran one back for a return. Ron Simmons was on the team. I remember that. and Billy Sims was on the team. I remember that, and basically Florida State was killing them the whole game. Oklahoma gets a late Billy Sims touchdown, and I think it was 17 all, and they, it was like 17-10. Late in the game, it's 17 all, and then Oklahoma wins 24-17. I got 13 points. I'm never worried. That's when I was locking the games, and so it's just. But the bet was on. The amount of the bet is based on building the bankroll. As you build it, then you increase your bet, and one bet does not hurt you, and one losing week does not hurt you. I had one week, I'm a kid, right? I'm 17 years old, working at the grocery store, and I'm already handicapping football and betting it. It's a Saturday. Mark Herman's playing for Purdue against Iowa, and I get it as a lock, and I don't know, I think I had 300 or 400 on it. I hit 17 out of 17, and I win $1,700. I think I bet $100 a game. I win $1,700 that day. I hit every single game. But if I would have lost them all, it wouldn't have hurt. My bankroll was still high enough. But then after that, my bankroll now increases $1,700. So let's say I'm betting 100, 200 a game there. All of a sudden, my bets go to 300, 400. My lock is 500 the next week. I don't know if it was the same year that I had the Florida State lock, but it certainly helped it. And so that's what you're looking for, is that big weekend. And now you've raised your bets from 100 to 2. But you don't start at the 2. You start at the 50 and the 100. You're seeing the season. You're waiting for the team to get in. I think in that lock, Purdue ends up winning 55-10. They're laying 20 points to Iowa. But the key of the lock was everybody was injured on the team. And Purdue had Mark Herman, and they could score a lot. And it was like over at halftime. It was beautiful. But that's what you're looking for, is the injuries. And you're watching the games, and you're watching Purdue, and you're going, yeah, Mark Herman's a good quarterback. So when you make the lock, you're betting on the injuries. It's there, but that's why you're pounding it. And then you're pounding it hard. And that's what you're looking for. I remember I had a lock with Dallas, with Roger Staubach. And I'm working, and I get out. It's a Sunday. I think it might have been the next day or the next week. And I go to myself, and they're playing the Giants, and the Giants were terrible back then, and Dallas was winning Super Bowls and going to the Super Bowl with Roger Staubach. And I go to myself, I turn it on the radio. It was on the radio on my way home, and I go, man, I hope Danny White's in the game, because if Danny White's in the game, I know it's a big win. And I turned it on, and Danny White was in the game, and I said, that's it. It like completed the weekend. It was like, that's it. That was the last lock, and here's Danny White in the game in the fourth quarter, and they're up 42-3 or something like that. And it was like, I'm laying 5 or 6 or something, and that completed the weekend. But it was just, but that's how you do it. You gain the games, and then you just start increasing the bet, but the bet's got to start within reason of your bankroll. Now, if you got a $20,000 bankroll or a $50,000 bankroll, and we're not talking 50s, we're talking 500s. Even so, if you have a $100,000 bankroll, you're not betting 100 grand on a game. You're not betting 100 grand on a weekend. If your bankroll is 100 grand, you're betting 10 grand. And you're building it to 120, to 150, to 200, to 500, to a million. But you're not betting 50,000 on one game if you're at 100, and you're not betting 50,000 in a weekend if you're at 100. You don't do that till you're at 400 or 500. Then it's a $50,000 game. But if I have a $100,000 bankroll, my first bets are 5,000, and if I lose the 5,000, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I still got 95 left. And that's how you got to do it. The whole goal is to build the bankroll up, but you do it in a percentage that's not going to kill you. One game's not going to kill you. One game never kills you. The bets, one bad weekend never kills you. It's a small percentage. It's build it, build it, build it. And I picked so many winners that's all you're trying to do is they're going to win. You're going to have some losers. It's just the nature of the beast. You can't pick every stock right. You can't pick every game right. But damn, I'm going to pick at least 7 out of 10. And I think this year I'm going to go for 9 out of 10. because I'm really feeling it this year, especially in college. I'm looking at different methods, and I'm not gonna have too many losers. I mean, I'm really kind of pissed right now at college. So, it got me with last year with the quarterbacks leaving early, trying to identify them, but that's not going to happen this year. I'm looking much more at the coach and the defense, more of a balanced team, more of the running backs, and it will not happen again. So basically, it's build the bankroll, whatever you start with. You got to have a bankroll number. If it's $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, that's the point. That's what you're doing. That's what you're looking at, is to build it, and you're betting small percentages. One game, 1 week can never hurt you. It's just a blip. Okay, I lost. Okay, it happens. I have weeks. I think I was there for Christmas, and with the Dallas Indy week, and I had Indy because Dallas was a terrible home favorite, and I lost. Okay, didn't kill me. I had a bad week there, but the next week I cleaned up. I hit everything, and made all my money back. So it's just a temporary thing, but the theory's right, the system's right, the methods are right, and it's just off you go. But all you're trying to do is build the bankroll, and as you build it, then the size of the bet increases to the point where it's still not going to kill you if you lose. That's what it's all about. That's how you gamble. That's how you invest. If you bought a stock, it'd be the same thing. You have a $20,000, people have 401ks, so you have $20,000 in your 401k. You don't put it all on one stock. You diversify it, right? You hedge, you play a little gold with your stocks. Maybe you play Coke and Pepsi in case there's a recession. I mean, you do all that. You do the same in football. You're not hedging. You can't really hedge. Well, you can in a teaser. We can pick the first game right, and then you have the second half of the teaser, and then you can go the other team straight, so you got the 6-point hedge. You can do that, but you're going to break even a lot on them, so it's kind of tough. But basically, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build the bankroll up. And that's really the name of the game. And you're trying to save it, because as the year gets on, and I can identify the new quarterback who wasn't there last year, Bryce Petty's gone. Who's his replacement? So we don't know. I think he's going to be good because he's Baylor, and you're betting the coach, and the offensive system's genius. So it should be okay, but that's my point. So you're basically looking at his replacement. Now, if his replacement's Joe Montana or Tom Brady, hey, we're going to start pounding Baylor week 2, week 3, week 4. But let's say he's terrible. Let's say he's not a good quarterback at all. Then we got to lay off Baylor. Well, we don't know that right away, but we're going to find out in 2 or 3 weeks. That's why I say as the season progresses, I get better, because I can identify these guys that are unknown in the beginning. Now, look at the pros. You got Winston on Tampa. You got Mariota at Tennessee. They play each other the first week. So I'm going to take Mariota in the points, because I think neither quarterback's going to really excel this year. But the point is, we don't really know, and it might take week 5 or week 6 to see Mariota's a bust, Winston's a bust, or they're superstars. Now, Curtis Ponder, I knew was a bust. At Florida State, he didn't do anything, so I would bet against him right away, just like the Jets with this guy from West Virginia. I can't remember his name. He's so bad. The guy's never going to be any good. That's obvious. But with Mariota and Winston, I'm not expecting much out of them. I think they're on lousy teams, and I think they'll just be average quarterbacks. I think the best quarterback's going to be Bryce Petty. Came out. I like Garrison from Colorado State. I think he'll be a good pro. Those are the good pros, not the Winston. Why see Winston threw a lot of interceptions last year? In the beginning, see, nobody has film on him, so when he's a freshman and he's lighting it up, nobody has film on him. Then they lose some seniors, and all of a sudden everybody sees the film on him. He threw 20 interceptions last year. He's not ready to be a pro. He's only 2 years out. Mariota at least was a senior. He's probably more better, but you don't run options and scramble on Tennessee, it's not going to work. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be that good either. I don't think those are your answers. I think it's Garrison who's on New Orleans, and I think Bryce Petty's going to be the real steal of the draft. He was the best quarterback. There's no question. So anyway, well, so I just want to get you into that mindset. Don't let one game bother you. It should never be that much of a bet. You've got to understand your bankroll. You've got to understand the goal is to build the bankroll, and you just keep pounding it. You bet small percentage of the increment of the total, and that's how you do it. 1,000, you're going to bet $30-$40 a game in the beginning. Build the bankroll up. You got 10,000, you're going to probably be paying $500 a game. You got 50,000, you're probably 1,000 to 2,000 a game, and then your goal is to move it up. And with the amount of winners I pick, you're going to net out winning most weeks. And again, I'm going to have a couple of bad weeks, but I'm going to have a couple of 17-0 weeks where we're going to just kill, and you're going to bet the locks a little bit more, and so you have the stronger games. But you got to be consistent and not bet. If you got $1,000 bankroll, you can't bet $1,000 first week, because if we lose, you're zero. And then now what do you do? But if you lose $100, you still got 9, and that's how you got to look at it. But if we win, see, the beauty of it is if we win Saturday, then you can bet a little bit more on Sunday and get the bankroll up. And that's the idea. Now we hit Saturday, so now we went from 1,000 to 11, let's say to 1,200, and now we can even bet a little bit more on Sunday. Now if we hit Sunday, we might be up to 1,500 week 1. Now you're up to $60-$70. Boom, we get a couple of hot weeks in the beginning, we're up to $3,000 bankroll. Now I can start betting. Now I can hit some serious $300-$400 bets. And they usually come a little bit later as we build the bankroll. So that's really the key, is building the bankroll is the key to betting on football, playing poker, any type of investment, any stocks, any type of gambling. You need to build the bankroll. And you can't let one bet beat you. You can't let one bad stock beat you. You can't let, anything. You can't play poker. You can't let one hand beat you. You can go all in, but you got to be careful that you got more money if you do go all in. But you're trying to build the bankroll. So it's always the goal in every type of investment, not just football. But if you can do that, you'll be very, very successful, and you won't be sitting there, I can't bet this week because I lost all my money, or I had a bad, this one team beat me. You can't do that. You can't play 6 games and let one team beat you and you win the other 5, and you go, I had a losing week because that loss. It can't matter. You can't bet that much that it kills you, and you can't bet and you can't afford it. So stay within your limits, but you got to know what your bankroll is, and then you go from there and you pursue it and you grow it, and that's the key. And as you grow it, then you increase your bets. Okay, everybody, Teaserking being Teaserking. Have a great weekend, and I don't know, 7-8 weeks, and we start college football at Labor Day weekend. So I'm excited. I'm reading up. I'm about halfway done with my Lindy's. I'm in the Mountain West now, and I got a few more to go. But I'm looking at each team, and basically I want the matchups, and that's the key. That's why you see the upsets. It's the matchups. Every sport, one guy can't handle the other, and that's exactly what we're looking for. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, wonderful summer, and I'm here, and I'll have some more videos coming up. All right, have a nice night.